Tommy Annan Forson, we call him the Air Marshal, is one great broadcaster, is one great, simple, friendly person everybody would want to come close to. Is that person that if you think you are doing radio or broadcasting, you should meet him first.
When you watch the private media, you realize this kind of thing, in every presenter wanting to even outdo not others but himself. Is because of Tommy's legacy. He has set the bar. Maybe I want to say that Tommy is the bar. You understand that? Tommy is the bar.
At times, he was like he's going through male menopause, okay, which I'll call papa pause. Okay, he was always, Other times he's jovial, or he cracks, he crack a joke.
He has a very humble spirit. Irrespective of whatever he has achieved, he's very, very down to earth. He's very serious at achieving, he achieves. And another thing that perhaps I've not said anywhere before, whatever he touches tends to gold.
I was born on the 3rd of August, 19 something. I'll let you know. But anyway, I grew up as a child with I was born to Captain Annan Forson, Thomas Annan Forson, so I was named after him, and Constance Annan Forson, who was British. My father was a very, very strict person, considering the fact that he was in the British Army. So when he retired, he sort of brought that kind of training to the house. Very strict, very disciplined. We're not allowed to go out, up to a certain time. Even if you had to go out, he would ask you what time you are coming home. Give and take maybe 11:30, and he would wait up till 11:30. And if you were home at 11:31, he would lock the door and make sure that you couldn't get in. So the following day, you have to come and explain why you were late and why you slept outside because you were late. But it taught me a lot of things as I grew up, especially when I went to a primary school, which was a South Labadi home school. I went to 2 schools, as a matter of fact. So I started with a home school. From there, I went to Eden Secondary School, which is now Feeden High School, where I finished in 1973. I wanted to go to 6th form and the university, but unfortunately my father passed on before then. So when I was in Form 2, I had to work at a coffee factory to be able to pay my school fees. My late brother, helped. And so it was, because of financial reasons, it was difficult for me to go to 6th form or the university. And so everything that I've learned, throughout my years of broadcasting up to today, have been self-taught. My first Bible being the Holy Bible, and my second Bible being the dictionary.
Let me start before the teenager. When we were in Ringway Estate, I think it was in the late 50s or so, he always had a fantasy for cars. Okay? And he would kill me for saying this one anyway. But he had a fancy for cars and always turning wheel in the car. And one day I remember my father said there was some problem with the cesspit, I should try and unblock it. So I got this long iron rod and started shoving it down there, and the cesspit was open. Before I knew it, I saw Tommy had fallen in. I screamed, but we were able to get him out. They brought the hose pipe and washed him down and stuff, and I knew today, Charlie, I die finish. Because my father, as a military man who believed in military justice at times, Anyway, they called him and he came home. They gave him palm oil, and I was laughing. And he told me he'll get me back. And of course, I didn't know how he was going to get me back. Not only he had something planned for me. I thought he had forgotten about it, seriously. Then one day there was a hole dug in the yard, okay? And they arranged, so there was water in that hole. Tommy said, I dare you to jump in there. I said, and of course, if you dare me, I'm going to do it. So I jumped in there, not knowing that he had put a broken bottle in there. So when I jumped in, it took the bottom of the front bottom of my foot off. You know, so the skin was hanging. So when they got me out, you know, the blood that was coming out, they called for my father. Those days, what they believed in was iodine. And he goes like that.
When I finished school, as a matter of fact, I started work as a messenger at Citi Supply. I had to work to bring money home. I had to work to invariably look after myself and stuff like that. And so it was pretty tough, you know, and again, you know, let me fast forward a little bit to GBC when times I had to drive a taxi, you know, whilst I was at work. Go to work early in the morning, close at 2, drive a cab, you know, a friend's cab throughout the afternoon. Somewhere along the line, prior to that, I'd met this gentleman, Jim Amakofo, when I was ill, and I became friends with him. He wanted to introduce me to radio, but I thought radio wasn't really, you know, my style. I wasn't really up to it. And there was a nightclub that was going to be open called Babylon Club, where him and one Benny Osu Entry, who was a newsreader, were the DJs. And because we were friends, I was letting, you know, almost every night. And so I was watching how they performed behind the console. I had no clue about how these things worked. And when they closed at 11 from GBC, they would come and perform. And I remember one Friday night, none of them turned up. I was drinking my beer as usual. And the owner of the nightclub said, Tommy, why don't you try something? I mean, so I got behind the console, and trust me, I had no idea of what I was doing. I'll just pick up a record, and those days it was vinyl. I'll just pick up a record, put it on, a few people would dance, I'll change it, and then everybody would go and sit down, and there I'm looking like an oof. You know, I was looking at people. But by and by, I started to gain interest in what this thing was about, DJing, and eventually they left. So I was the master DJ at Hindloan, close sometimes 4 a.m., come home, take a rest, maybe about an hour, go to work at 5:30, close at 2, come home, go on the road, you know, drive a little bit, then come to the nightclub, or close at 11, come to the nightclub, spin till about 4, and go to work again, you know. And I used to get so exhausted, but as a young person, you don't look at how exhausted you are because your body is very healthy. You just keep going and going and going. And so that was how I eventually got into radio, and it became kind of exciting. It was good. A lot of doors opened up for me. And so that's it. That's where I am today. And I thank God for bringing me this far, because if perhaps I had not fallen ill and listened to a radio station, perhaps I think that was the turning point in life, where you listen to somebody, you make friends with a person, and your whole destiny, everything changes. And that's where I am today. There was one gentleman who said, director of radio, I doffed my heart for him, may he rest in peace, said, look, this is a job of talent. Let's give him a try and see. They liked my voice, they liked the way I spoke. And so I sort of fitted into the scheme of things, you know, in GBC. And I was finally, I think, employed in 1979, 1980, but I'd been doing things as a guest artist and stuff like that. So it was pretty tough. Now, I was the first to start laughing on GBC radio, and it was unheard of. I got a query for that, you know, but I said to the big guys, look, this is me. I want to create a style. I don't want to be like everybody else. And so eventually I was allowed, but I had to make sure that I didn't go beyond a certain point, I started cracking jokes on the air. And so people began to realize that, oh, this gentleman, Tommy Annan Forson, is totally different from the other guys. You know, so anytime I had a show, people would actually wait for the show. And I quite remember the 620 Soul Train, 605 Soul Train, won 2 awards because it was every Thursday from 4 to 6. And I would just let loose. I would just crack jokes. I would play inserts that had jokes, you know, clean jokes and stuff like that. And it was just phenomenal. And so that was how I started rising to the top. You know, I would give all the thanks in my career to Jim Amapofor. I would give my thanks to Charlie Sam. Charlie actually put me under his wings. He realized the potential I had. He loved my style of presentation. And so he was very harsh and hard on me. But I guess it was part of the training process that we had to go through.
I got to know about Tommy Annan Forson when I came back from outside the country, when the only stations that you could listen to at that time was GBC 1, GBC 2, you know, but he had such a voice and a sense of humor that attracted me to listening to him most of any time he was on air. But Tommy, you know, breaking away from GBC and coming to, you know, Pioneer Joy FM gave a different dimension. The game in broadcasting changed. He was a game changer.
So to him, music has a lot of meaning. And I think at times that is his escape route. Like all of us have escape routes, okay? I admired the way he used to work, okay? But then he liked this as a professional. So when politics was brought into it, he was having a little difficulty. Of course, I couldn't, at the time, maybe talk to him. But when he started working with Komlan Dumont, I think things turned a bit. When he was working with Charlie Sam, that was okay. But then he had his own style. So it's like, it's difficult for him to give out that style.
I left GBC on the 30th of April. On the 1st of May, I was on the air. And people thought that, look, there must be some mistake somewhere. Because 99.7, that frequency at the time, is like, okay, people would fidget with their radio and, you know, there must be something wrong. And so I kept on promoting the fact that this was private radio, and I just let loose. I just went ballistic, you know. It was like, okay, nobody has called me to say, you're not allowed to laugh on the air. You're not allowed to say this. You don't play this kind of music. Obviously, we knew that profanity didn't come in there. And I just blew up, and that was it. And for me, in the area of broadcasting, that was a turning point. And I was determined to make private broadcasting a total success. In terms of, okay, if this is the same Tommy Annan Forson we used to hear on GBC, is it another Tommy Annan Forson on this station? It was the same person. And so the transition was also difficult for people to accept, but they did. And that turning point changed things in my life. You can't be on the air forever. Not everybody will like you for who you are, and so there will be certain barricades put in place. But then I asked myself, what do I do here? And having to run 2 radio stations very, very successfully as a programs director and a general manager, and then promoted to the executive director of one of the radio stations, I said to myself, the issue of training hasn't come in. Because I attended a couple of radio courses in South Africa. And I said, well, I don't seem to know of any radio training school, so perhaps let me give it a shot. And so when the idea came up, I said, okay, every little savings that I had, I started putting into equipment, trying to get this place. And so when I started advertising, there was a little bit of skepticism because I didn't know how people were going to take radio training and all that. But it just flew off the roof. And after that, it became the talk of the town. It became a huge publication. And that's how Rabudev started. And we're still in existence. 13 years still in existence.
As his wife from 2015, but of course I had known him earlier from 2011. I haven't regretted knowing him because apart from everything, he's my inspirer. He motivates me, and he's just it. I can look at him and perhaps I should say become what I want to be. He encourages me in everything I do, my acting career, my general life and all that. And he's an inspiration. Watching him inspire the youth even is an inspiration to me, in general. And so coming to Rabudev, I've been on board since 2012 officially. And working with him has been great. People say that working with your husband is tough. Spouses shouldn't work together, but I'm still looking for why. Of course, they might have a point, but he's an amazing boss. He doesn't lord it over everyone. And when it comes to him and I, we discuss office business as office business, and we don't mix work with pleasure, okay? He's a very, very understanding person. He takes advice, he takes suggestions from his subordinates, and I think it's a very good thing, that has really, really endeared him to a lot of people.
Tommy's legacy for the broadcast industry is inestimable. He has brought an explosion of professionalism wherever he worked. And of course, as a result of that, people consider him to have stepped on their toes. Even if you owned the media house and he's working for you, there are certain things he expects to be done right. He is free-minded. He allows people to do whatever they want to do, but he insists on that level of professionalism. And with his, persona as somebody who entertains, he entertains, he cracks jokes, he engages in, how do you want to call it? There is a technical name that has, is satirical with what he does, but he does it in a way as not to offend. You understand that? He can mimic, certain ethnic groups by the way they pronounce English words and all that kind of thing without sounding offensive. So Tommy's legacy is one of professionalism with a human touch. That to me is Tommy's legacy. Professionalism with a human touch.
His legacy will be the fact that Air Marshal Tommy Annan Forson, one, was a great broadcaster, two, he is a disciplinarian which feeds into the work that he does, someone who doesn't joke with his responsibility and his sense of humor. If you don't take anything he will say, you will laugh, and he's looking at you and he's okay, So yeah, those are the things forever I will remember him with. And the fact that he will always encourage others to do the right thing. Yeah.
Well, Tommy, you have done it all. If there is anything you haven't done yet, I guess it has not come to your mind. And you keep on keeping on. In spite of the fact that you have retired from radio, so to speak, you are still an icon in the broadcast industry. And much as anytime we speak on phone, you tell me, Akof, I love you. I want to tell you I love you too. And may the good Lord, bless and keep you. Tom, the whole of Ghana loves you.
What I'd like to tell him is, look, they say life is short, but life is what we make it. We've gone through a lot of problems. Whether we share them thick and thin, the problems have been yours. And in fact, it's only you that can hold them. What I need to tell you is that in all things, one thing we must never forget is that there's a God above who looks after all of us. Know that there's that God. If you have a problem, talk to him. Sometimes a human being may give you an answer, but God will give you a different one, according to his plan. Know that, like everybody else, by the day we get older and we get experience from the previous day. So now as you're getting old, if you haven't planned what you're doing with your future, I won't tell you what the future is because it's 10, but nonetheless, life begins. I'll make sure that you go on a vacation and you come back and tell me something that you've never experienced in life, okay? Keep it up. Pass on your knowledge. Don't be selfish about it. And I'll tell you one thing that maybe I shouldn't say, that the richest place in Laboni Osu now is a cemetery. Not for you to go there, in that there are all kinds of brains there. Doctors, lawyers, musicians, broadcasters, what have you. All of them end up there. And you told me one day that they are lying down there, and you wanted me to go with you and put a stick in the ground or into my clothes. Stop tricking people. Take life serious, as you have been doing. Laugh a lot more. Get out, meet people, and whatever you have to do with and for your family, do it. You have your immediate family, and you have the extended family. Either way, there's blood. The one you've married, she's family, okay? And we, your sister and I, are blood family. We're all there to help you and support you.
What I can say is, I wasn't born a broadcaster. My destiny was changed by God Almighty. I say to you that you helped and you did a lot. You believed in me. You trusted my judgment. You loved my sense of humor. And perhaps I just say you loved what I did by way of broadcasting. To you out there, or to you in this auditorium, I salute all of you for making me who I am today. I had the opportunity of sitting behind the microphone. I did, but it was through your judgment, your criticism, your praises. I lived a lot by criticism and took everything in faith. And I said to myself, if these people believe in me, don't disappoint them. And I'm glad to say that. Let me thank Citi FM, Citi TV, His Eminence. Thank you. God bless you. I thank God He's brought me this far. You have brought me this far. And I'll continue the journey where I can. Thank you, and God bless you all.